This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I'd like one of the, you know when they do those computer things and it says, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram, like it's all supposed to be the same voice.
Frank, I'll kick off with a question from one of our regulars, Ultra Magnus.
Oh, yeah.
Frank, have you ever been to Southwark Cathedral and met the official Southwark Cathedral cat? That's from Ultra Magnus.
I've been to Southwark Cathedral, certainly.
Okay.
Very beautiful it is too. Who is this? One of the King James version of the Bible, like the heads of department of that compilation there. Lancelot Andrews.
Oh.
I think his tomb is there. But I never saw the cat. Now, if I saw a cat in a church, I'd kill it immediately. I'd assume it was some sort of demon. No, not really, guys.
It's good to know that you've got a rule.
Well, there's a picture of Hodge doing the rounds on the internet.
Dr. Johnson's cat.
The Southwark Cathedral cat posing with his own soft toy replicas.
Oh, because Dr. Johnson had a cat called Hodge. Dr. Johnson, the 18th century writer, for those of you who didn't know. And outside Dr. Johnson's house in Gough Square in London is a statue of Hodge with some oysters. Because he used to feed... Oysters were quite cheap then, apparently. He used to get them. But the famous quote was, the cat was there with Dr. Johnson, and James Boswell said, it's a nice cat you've got there, Dr. Johnson. He said, I've had better cats than this, I'll be honest with you. He said, at which point the cat looked straight at him, and Johnson said, although Hodge is a very fine cat indeed, slightly edgy. I think he heard. Keep talking. Look busy. So,
loving our Boswell Johnson content this morning.
I would guess. I'd like to start with the topical stuff. I'm guessing the Southwark Cathedral cat was named after the original Hodge.
Well, the reason I thought it was...
I thought it was Roy Hodgson.
Yeah, possibly Steve Hodge, Leeds United and England.
Do you know what I love? I wanted to keep the tradition going of one cathedral mention per show.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I wonder if... I haven't listened to everything on Absolute this week, but I wonder if that's the first name check for Lancelot Andrews.
It's a great name.
Oh, my word. So anyway, I've had a bit of an event this week.
Before you get to that event, can I just share this with you? This is...
I thought you were going to sing then.
No.
Start spreading the news. Go on.
This is from Dave in Peterborough.
Okay.
Hi, Frank. I was the guy standing in the car dealership reception when you visited on Tuesday morning. I really wanted to say hello, but I didn't want to intrude on you and your family. So are you a Tory MP? I was David Mellor outside his house. I was left fascinated as to whether you decided to buy one. Sorry to interrupt, Frank, but I just felt attention must be paid and I couldn't wait to hear the answer to this.
Well, yes, I did. I bought a new car this week.
Excellent.
It's always a big moment. I've had my car, the last car, which was a Beamer. I had a Beamer. I've had it for nearly 10 years.
Yeah. You ran that thing into the ground.
And based on that idea that it lasts that long, I've got a 9-year-old son and I bought a new car this week and I said, look, when I'm done with this, you can have it when you pass your test. Which is a very weird thing to say to a 9-year-old. You can have this next. Oh, man.
Hybrid?
It is hybrid. I don't think I'll mention the make because lest the titmouse fall prey to the viper, as I believe they say in China. They say it in Chinese, or whatever, Cantonese, Mandarin, whatever they're speaking. But it's parked outside at the moment. I don't want someone to turn up and take their key down the side of it. You know what I'm talking
Who would
about?
do that to you?
We live in, the kind of world we're living in at the moment. I'll tell you what I've been doing this week. Are you, when you get a new car, especially this one, I'd say slightly bigger than the last one, I have been singing to myself in the car, and I think I often sing when I'm nervous. And when I first start driving a new car, it's a bit of a I don't know where anything is, and I don't mean places. I never know where any of those are.
No, just the brakes and things like
But
that.
I've been singing to the tune of the old Bee Gees classic, literally out loud whilst driving. How wide is my car? How wide is my car, baby? I really need... Every time there's been traffic coming the other way, parked cars on the side. How wide is my car? How wide is my... Funny, I'd had the boys in the back, the trilby hat, the transplant, the beard.
Don't mention the...
Oh, okay. Anyway, I'll tell you more about it this week because I had a slight... I had a moment in the new car.
Uh-oh.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Can I raise a few things that came up OA?
Off air?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The trouble is with OA, it's the same initials for on air. You know what I mean? It needs tightening up a bit as an abbreviation, I
You
think.
see, it's your
point.
precision which first drew me to you as a friend.
I bet there's a technical term for off air, which is off air is a bit
Yes,
lame. I'm going to ask the
yes.
producer who knows these things. What's the technical term?
Just off air.
Well, what a surprise. She didn't know it.
Okay, well, if anyone else, maybe we can think of our own words.
What's French for broadcast? Sans broadcast. No, I bet broadcast.
Without broadcast.
Doesn't sound like...
NB, like non-broadcast.
Anyway,
Okay.
we were
Gives it
talking,
a-
yes.
We were
creative
talking. A
feeling.
couple of things came up. Firstly, we started singing a Beatles song.
Yeah. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade.
To which I said, I think an octopus's garden sounds disgusting.
Yes. I was surprised because I thought, many hands make light work. I'd have thought it would be in meticulous shape.
It's always troubled me, just the concept of it. I can just imagine it being really... I don't agree, Frank. I just think it would be overrun and just tentacles everywhere and...
But imagine,
Really
those
sleazy.
those circular soccer things. They would be
Yeah.
great for planting because it would just lie flat out and then just suck up the soil, and then you'd have all those holes in the shape of an octopus, and it could make an octopus-shaped floral display.
I couldn't...
Can the sucker things project the plant in, or are they only sucking? If you
That's
get
it.
my meaning?
You mean like a Dyson? Can you blow and suck with a?
Does it have a reverse?
Yeah,
That's
with
the
a
question.
tentacle. They call them sockers, I think, which is, I think, probably a hint.
What's
Yeah.
the point of them having a garden? They can't get much pleasure out of it. They don't sunbathe.
No, I know it's. I don't know why they brought it up, the Beatles. It's another one of their stupid ideas. I tell you what I looked at this week. I'm sorry if this is a bit Chris Evans talking about the Beatles, but
Yeah.
I saw a list of the Beatles B-sides.
Good.
And if I was the Beatles, if I was Paul McCartney, so I'd be thinking, we messed up there. I wish we'd we could have doubled our hits if we'd have held back that. I mean, it's stuff like, This Boy and Don't Let Me Down, like really
They were
big.
B-sides.
Yeah, were
Really good
B-sides.
B-sides.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I think they... it's not like, 3 lines karaoke. That's what I call a B-side. You just want to chuck something on there,
Yeah.
Beatles squandered their riches.
Late review.
Yeah, let's hope Bush doesn't squander his riches.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was in my new car, but people, I'm thinking, I'll keep going on about your new car, why don't you?
I tell you what, you're not doing anything to dispel the myth that 3 lions makes you.
No, exactly.
Everybody uses that cliche.
Yes, I buy a new car after every major tournament.
Exactly.
No, I don't. I've had this car for nearly 10 years.
I know, but I'm worried about him. He's gone a bit spend.
Anyway,
Like a lottery winner.
I was driving my new car,
Rolls Royce.
my NC, to the Boz. My son Boz was doing cricket camp this week, so I was driving him to cricket camp. Now you might know this road because it's not too far from you, but it's a very, very narrow road,
I know
and
the
it's
one.
got metal like bollard
You're
things.
referring to Jackson's Lane.
Is that what it's called? And I was suddenly in this, it was like a slalom, some sort of slalom I was in with my brand new car that I was driving so tentatively and nervously. It's the narrowest road I've ever been down.
I can't believe you took on those bollards.
Well, I was there, I was there, they were in front of me. Anyway, I could hear scratching and that as I drove through. I know.
But there were rats in the boot.
But I thought there were rats in my stomach, it felt like. We got through it, and I couldn't. I got him to the cricket camp, had a look, and there's those sort of black robbery bits around. There was a bit of that was robbed, but I thought that'll be okay. But I said I'm never ever going down that road again. Anyway, on the way back. Because I don't know where. I mean, honestly, it looks quite old. It looks like it might have been designed that it would take a sedan chair, but not a hansom. That looks like the plan behind it. So suddenly I'm confronted by it again, and it's, what I would call the nearness detectors.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the technical term, but the things that beep when you get close to something.
What do you call it?
I don't know.
I love nearness detectors.
Oh, yeah, should we just stick with that?
Yeah. My nearness detectors personally haven't gone off for years.
It's the sort of why I like it, Frank. It's the sort of thing they'd have in the in a Doctor Who script and say, "We'll leave it in for now."
Well, I think
And it would never
in
come
Doctor
out.
Who it'd be like vicinity detectors. Where I like the juxtaposition of nearness, which has got a human warmth to it with the word detector.
Okay.
Anyway, my nearness detectors, when I went through it, went absolutely the beeping. Do you remember the solo in Tina Turner's Not Bosh City Limits? It was like, honestly, they were saying, what are you doing back in here? They might as well have said that. A voice, what are you doing back in it? You vowed never to drive. Anyway, you know what?
What?
I scratched it.
Oh, you didn't.
Day one.
Oh,
I did, I scratched
you
it.
silly Billy.
But, I got home and I looked at this scratch and I thought, well, I can relax now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the end of an unbeaten run for a football team. I just thought, it couldn't. But day one, and there it was. But now I just thought, now it's just this old car I drive, and I can just relax into it. But oh my goodness, I went back to the narrow road.
Don't go back to the narrow road.
No. When are you gonna come down? Come on, everybody. When I can't think of a. On the narrow road, my nearness detectors have gone wild. Elton, you've gone back to your... Help me. Help me, I'm choking.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Someone has texted us with just the words proximity sensors.
Oh, you see, that's more Doctor Who. See the difference between proximity and nearness.
Yeah, I like your version.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have a human touch, especially as it was a very human
I've
experience.
heard that. Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah.
Was that Dr. Troy, the researcher in the history of computing?
Troy?
'Cause
We can't get through there, Troy. That's what, that was my impression of phones from Stingray.
Also, Michael T. Coffey has got in touch.
That sounds like a joke name, doesn't it? Michael T. Coffey.
There was in Bonanza, the popular Wild West series, there was a Sheriff Roy Coffey, which suggests to me that Coffey is... and, of course, Denise Coffey, the British satirical comedienne.
Oh, and of course, Covfefe, which you may remember Donald Trump was fond of saying.
Oh.
It was when Donald Trump...
Is that like Tofifi? Do you remember those sweets that were like... used to get them on the market about 6 months after they should have been eaten. And they were called Tofifis.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
No, Donald Trump tweeted Covfefe once.
That's right.
Oh,
And
okay.
everyone said, what is that?
That's what.
Became a big deal.
And he pretended that he'd meant to tweet it. I think it was one of those 3 a.m. mistakes.
It's probably an old tradition where it comes. They throw hot drinks over people at weddings.
Anyway, Michael T. Coffee has sent us...
He needs to make his mind up, doesn't he? It should be Michael T/Coffee, open brackets, whatever's easiest. You know when people say that?
I know, whatever's easy.
What are you having? Whatever's easiest. Yeah, so difficult.
I'll tell you what I'll hate. Do you want me to bring anything? Just yourself.
Oh, no one ever says that to me. Yeah, they sort of, there's a sense of not yourself.
And the thing is, if I did just bring myself, they'd be slightly disappointed. They want something. You've always got to bring something.
Yeah, clothes, for example.
Michael T. Coffee, he has tweeted us a picture of Kathy Botham's book.
Oh, yeah.
You may remember Ian Botham wrote
Yeah.
a book.
Yeah, Ian Botham, in case you don't know, cricketing legend.
Ian Botham's book, do you recall what it was called?
It was
Clive?
called Don't Tell Kath, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Michael T. Coffee sent us a picture of Kathy Botham's book saying, I'm sure Frank can really relate to this book. Love, Michael. Kathy Botham, living with a legend.
Oh, man. Kathy Botham's got a book out now.
When we say now, I think this might have been some years ago.
Okay.
The
A vintage
hairdos.
book.
Yes. But for some reason, I think it's been unearthed.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't seen Ian Botham for ages. Not on
Okay.
the coverage anymore.
Right.
Okay, anyway, he'll be back. Yeah, I saw Ian Botham once walking across the forecourt at Lord's on the phone, but almost definitely not on the phone.
Oh, I see.
Sort of pretending to be on the phone so he didn't get spoken to. Oh, yeah, he was a wily old fox.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Don't forget this morning's text in. Can every dog swim? 8, 12, 15. I think it was another thing in the NC this week, the new cars, driving bus to radio first morning, to cricket rather. And,
Well, there was a Freudian slip.
yeah.
Okay.
And he said, can we have the radio on? And I said, probably. And it was one of that, oh, what does this button do? It's a very stressful business. But I met a man this week who knows about all sorts of things to do with the environment and that. He's a bit of an expert on that. And I said, so how soon driverless cars? He said,
What did he say?
He said, look, I'll be straight with you. I said, keep this under your hat. So here we are.
Go on.
He said, it's not going to happen, driverless cars. He said, it's all, yeah. He said, there's been a lot of talk. He said, you might, at one point in the future, there might be one lane on the motorway or something. He said, but around the city, he said, forget about it. It's a myth.
It's very difficult, isn't it?
Who
Because
was
it
this-
essentially turns the world into a massive, real version of the trolley problem that they talk about in philosophy.
What is the
That's what I
trolley
reckon.
problem? Is that when your
if
trousers are too, your pants are
If
too
you pull a
tight?
handle, a train goes into either one person or four people, and so they basically they talk. It's a bit. It's a thought experiment. That's the phrase.
Okay.
Well, I'll
but yeah,
leave
they
you two
can't-
gentlemen to
they can't
discuss
quite
these matters
figure
while
out-
I go powder my nose.
They can't quite figure out how to let nerds decide if the driverless cars avoid stuff or hit stuff. It's quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. I wonder
They're
how
the
long it would
nerds.
be before you wouldn't be looking through the front window. You'd just be in the back seat. Snogging, maybe snogging. Oh, that's what
Snogging?
driverless cars. They'll just become sort of love pods, won't they? For philanderers. That's what they'll be. Oh, awful.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Who was this
Husbands
character?
turning up in other driverless cars and blokes climbing out the window in their pants like Robin Asquith films. Oh, it's not the future, it's the past. The driverless car, the terrible past. It's not going to happen, apparently. I've got it on official voice. Forget it. Don't build your hopes on the drive. You people who are saying, I'm not doing my test, I'll wait for the driverless cars, you'll wait forever.
Can I tell you what I like about driverless cars is that they're not very cool. You can't, when people are cruising with an arm out the window,
Yeah,
checking out the honeys,
yeah.
driverless car sitting in the back seat
I
doing
know,
that.
yeah, going zzz, like it's a chairlift, isn't it? It's basically that. Zzz. Hey,
How you doing?
yeah. Oh no! Luckily, they're never going to happen. As you know, when I was at school, I was promised hover cars. That's what was said. When you're 25, there'll be hover cars. And moving pavements, all rubbish.
We were fed a pack of lies.
We were
looking back on it.
absolute Tomorrow's
They told us
World.
CDs were indestructible.
Yeah,
Oh, do you remember
Tomorrow's World was a pack of lies. It was absolute. What the
know what?
BBC?
I believe that's what it was subtitled.
I think there should be sort of on the historical offences. The BBC should be taken to court about how it lied to the country through the medium of Tomorrow's World. Yes, and credit cards will be luminous and float above our heads. When? When will that happen? Every week. We won't need windows anymore. We'll have implants in our retina, which means we can see through walls. This will happen in about 1988. What? Vile lies of Tomorrow's World.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 8 12 15. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. This morning's texting is Foo Fighters, a pun based on Carl Douglas's Kung Fu fighting. I'd like to know. I'd like to know.
I was
By
like,
the
God,
way,
about the octopus's garden. It makes me a bit sick.
well, just going back just for a second to the new car. One of the things I asked, when people go in and say, "Yeah, has it got a 3.5 litre and all that stuff?" I said, "Has it got a CD player?" He said, "We don't get asked that very often."
I didn't.
The thing is, because during lockdown I wasn't driving much, I've got about 20 Big Finish Doctor Who audio CDs that I haven't listened to yet. And if I'm
You
in
didn't
a
tell
car,
the man that.
I didn't go into absolute. I didn't list the titles, but I said I've got some CDs that need to be listened.
I think he probably had the measure of you.
Yeah.
Also, Al, when he says...
What if he'd guessed it? What if he said, "Oh, you don't have some backlog of Big Finish CDs there? You got me. You've nailed me."
You would. Do you know what? You would have paid any price for that.
That would have been lovely.
Can I share this with you from Matt Shin?
From your chin.
No,
Sorry.
from Matt Shin.
Oh, sorry.
Can you let Frank know I've just downloaded a comedian's prayer book and I'll be up the baggies later? Thanks.
Well, what a combo.
I like to think that
Cowboys
sums
and
up
aliens.
your breadth and width and everything about you.
Thank you so much. I understand someone sent in earlier that the comedian's prayer book is 99 pence download on Kindle. Special
It's a
offer.
special day.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
It's a
mean,
special...
You know I love a bargain.
Yeah.
What about my
I might
thing
get
on...
it.
I went on Kindle, and when they say, if you like this, you'll probably like one of those. And it was my autobiography they suggested.
Oh,
How weird that they arrived.
I often get that recommended to me. I've
Do
got it
you?
already. Can
Yeah,
I
but
just
that's
say I
by
pay full
me.
price for comedian's prayer book?
God bless you.
036.
God bless you, missus.
Got something of the Dickensian orphan about that. Marvel superheroes. What job would they do if they decided to stop the old Adventures business? I reckon the Hulk would work in scaffolding. Spider-Man, truant officer.
Really?
That's from Nige.
why?
Truant
Why, I
officer.
wonder, truant officer.
I mean, is
Could
there...
catch I thought he'd be a great, if he worked at one of the larger libraries, like the British Library, Spider-Man, and they'd
send the web
straight up the shelves for the obscure top shelf book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's something
brilliant.
officious about Batman, isn't there?
He's not Marvel, can I say?
Oh, is he not? Oh, I don't know. What
bit
about
big
Dr. Octopus?
hashtag
What a
all.
gap.
I'll never be able to hold my head high in the
Doctor-
Doctor
When I
Who
said
community
Descartes.
again.
Dr. Octopus, of course, could do gardening.
Well, I was just going to say, he'd be a marvellous gardener.
Well, whatever he did, he'd be a fine multitasker.
So which
I feel.
one? So hang on,
Doc
is Batman and
Octopus.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man and Batman.
Hold it, Dr. Octopus. Is that cultural? What do they call it when you take your cultural appropriation, becoming a octopus? When he hasn't been brought up as an octopus. He doesn't understand the full concept
he
of it.
doesn't
Who does he
know.
think he is?
Who does he think he is?
Doc Ock.
Spider-Man and Batman. Are they the same Marvel people?
No,
Oh, why?
there's two big basic strands.
Oh, is it like
DC
Montague and Capulet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
DC and Marvel. So DC, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and then Marvel, Spider-Man, the Avengers.
Why don't they just make it all one and then it's easier
Well,
for
because
people?
competition is an important factor in achieving the best. That's what probably one of their executives would say.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, feeling good this way. One thing about new car, great cardiovascular. That feeling of tremendous tension every time you drive the car.
You've got that. Can I
the
say
blood
you've got that
flowing.
new car show-offy thing?
I have.
I like
have.
it.
I'm going to make the most of it. Scratch new car, SNC. Yeah, I'm going to be showing off my scratches lately, and I haven't been doing that for many a year. Oh, I remember having to say to a partner that it wasn't actually fingernails on my back. I'd used a sandalwood and pine soap, and it had some real branches in it.
What's going on?
I mean, it's a bit worse than Tomorrow's World, and it's terrible lies. By the way, the BBC, if they gave up on, their thing of not giving pensioners a free licence,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that would be compensation, wouldn't it, for having misled them for 40 years?
They better
Good
lawyer
idea.
up.
Yes, they better had. If I was the pensioners, that would be my angle. Hold on a bit. We were misled in every department.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Can I share a couple of outside world correspondents with you?
Oh, do.
Ian-
You probably can, but if you do, Frank might think you'll be in a bit of trouble.
Ian Stewart Dootson,
Okay.
re-Marvel superheroes' second jobs. I reckon Iron Man would write a book about Ted Hughes. Do you get that?
Oh, very clever.
That is good.
Then he continues, ISD. This tweet was constructed in a factory containing praise. Fragments may remain.
Ah, it's a not allergy thing. Very clever.
So Iron Man, in case anyone is unaware, is a Ted Hughes science fiction
well, it's
book.
I think it's a
Children's
children's book, yeah.
Yes. Howard Greater. Snoop Dogg literally has a song. This is in reference to Can Dog Swim, Frank,
Yeah.
one of our text-ins.
Oh, yeah.
Snoop Dogg literally has a song called I Can't Swim, though it is from an album released in 2000. He may have learnt by now. I imagine he has a pool. Praise redacted.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Snoop Dogg can't swim doesn't really get to the core of my question, which is can all dogs swim?
You said all dogs. Is Snoop Dogg not a dog?
Well, I don't... He's not canine.
Okay.
Declan
You never
Healy,
specifically said that.
No.
Declan Healy, border collies struggle. Yeah, but what
Do-
about the swimming? They're not
Do
brilliant
they?
at everything.
Okay.
There seems to be some sort of mixed views on that. Claire Hamilton, mine walks around puddles. Mine does too.
See, I honestly
Yeah,
thought
mine
they
too.
could all swim. Thank God I haven't put this to the test on a regular basis.
No,
Because that would
No,
be
that
terrible.
would be
a
awful.
girl
If you
has
kept the lead on, I suppose.
a girl has no name. Says my friend's British bulldog used to sink like a stone.
Oh, wow. but used to suggest that it came back up again, you know.
Oh, well,
let's put a happy
Well, it doesn't
ending.
necessarily suggest that. And Hazalad says, I once saw a Labrador do a convincing backstroke whilst on a caravanning holiday in Great Yarmouth.
Can't be right. A backstroke. That
Story.
cannot be right.
I think they'd been at the local ales, that guy.
God, I hope there wasn't a blind person drowning underneath you.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Oh, dear, that's a terrible image. Upsetting. Well, no, it's going to all come in there. Yeah, I've got my Shih Tzu can do the butterfly stroke. I think, according to my dad, if you pull their front legs apart, their heart bursts. So I don't think a backstroke
That's an
or a...
awful thing to say.
Well, he was a medical man. He wasn't actually. Yeah, so maybe that if I think the upshot of this is do check very tentatively before you put your dog in water. Don't assume that they do swim. What about that's my sort of serious message at the end of this? What about that?
Okay.
Professional.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Phil C. has got in touch regarding our ongoing text in, can dogs swim? Yes, and little dogs have auto swim. If you hold them above water, even a bath, their legs start swimming.
Is that right? I've never seen that. Oh, I think I was steaming one once and it started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a stamp off it. That's interesting. But he's saying, yes, all dogs can swim, and we've had owners saying that they can't.
We've also had Carl Dukes, who says, our dog Daisy can indeed swim in spite of being a mountain dog. However, she chooses not to and chooses to just paddle. I like this chooses.
But that's swimming, isn't it?
Well, then Cole says, however, the big wave incident proved that she can indeed, when push comes to shove, swim quite well. This happened in Newquay.
Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah, they get some big waves in Newquay.
they do. They surf.
Yeah.
They surf in Newquay.
The dogs.
Some of them do.
Finally,
Good.
Clive Silas has said Foo Fighters are rogue radar echoes found in air warfare, i.e. phantom enemies.
Oh, wow. That's what Foo Fighters. And nothing to do with Carl Douglas.
No.
That's a shame. Some of the great grunting backing vocals of all time. Everybody was kung fu fighting. There are very, very few songs with grunting backing vocals.
Hey, I heard a good fact about Bruce Lee on somebody's podcast the other day. That apparently he was very paranoid about his armpit sweat, and not long before his death, he got his sweat glands removed from his armpits.
Wow.
Good fact, isn't it?
It is. When I think of those fight scenes in the Bruce Lee films, I think of him sans hair in the armpit area.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But I'll have to go back and look at them. I've got the box set.
Good
Well, I have heard of that. The sort of Botox shot in the arm before an Oscar appearance.
Oh,
To do what?
Stop the sweat glands producing
Wow.
sweat.
Why don't
Freeze
people
the muscles.
just be?
8, 12, 15.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was talking to Omar Khan, my tour manager.
Oh, red
And
shoes.
he was telling me how he went, pink shoes actually.
Oh, sorry.
He
Okay.
went to a cricket match and he went out, I think, to the toilet, came back, and he'd missed the Australian captain, Ricky Ponting, getting out first ball. And I was talking about then how I stayed up, my parents let me stay up for the moon landing in '69. And they landed, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, they'd been out and gone back in again. So I missed the actual walk. And I was thinking about, I thought that'd be that's the sort of texting you could do, is things I missed. What do you think? I like it. I like it because it's got a sort of anxiety and regret feeling. about it, which is it's good. So, what's the best things you've missed?
Okay. I like that.
Keep it clean as ever.
We've also got some if Marvel people.
I don't know quite how this happened. This texting.
Well, it's not a texting, but you have to let these people run with it.
No, it is. It's the people's texting. I had nothing to do with it.
Have spoken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, window cleaner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some other suggestions. Spider-Man pest control. I think they meant Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, he could have from the elbow, he could wear chamois leather gauntlets and shoes and do. He could do several windows at one, former gardener Dr. Octopus would be a very good window cleaner.
I see him as a sort of Robin Asquith figure, a bit cheeky. Mr. Butler, Captain America, MAGA baseball cap salesman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I thought you might be quite good in a pizza place, Captain America, delivering them from way back of the kitchen. Just sending them over.
Andrew from Eastbourne has suggested the X-Man's Wolverine would be a dab hand as a meat slicer. See him in a deli with those.
My problem with Wolverine is I know if he was a friend of mine, every now and again he'd say, "Oh, can you get I've got a scratch on my back there, just there." You wouldn't be able to resist. Imagine the joy of Wolverine doing right down base of the spine. Oh.
Yeah, but imagine dating him. That's a whole other story.
No, I can't imagine that.
Come on.
Although he's a song and dance man, of course, by night. Bit different.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I need to discuss something with you both. It's related to Charles and Diana's wedding cake. Or to use the Nana lexicon, Lady Di.
Lady Di's
wedding cake.
Oh, marvellous that Lady Di stuff. So
I
brilliant.
love it when the Nans wouldn't let go.
It's a bit like Kate Middleton, isn't it? And Meghan Markle. You get to know their name, and that's their name forever.
It was Lady Di. So the wedding itself, July 81.
I remember it was a day off.
What did you do, Frank?
I got very drunk. Indeed.
Oh, that's really depressing.
I remember I was on a big central reservation and I was climbing a lamppost and the police came over and said, "Come on, mate." And he said, "It's a special day for everybody, don't spoil it."
Was that the time that they got the big trampoline out of the back of the fire engine?
No, they didn't. When they used to hold the blanket, the firefighters. No, they didn't. I weren't that high.
What would George Formby have said?
I think I was just...
Yeah.
I don't know. I was seeking a fresher air, perhaps.
Okay. Well, you subsequently found it, and
yes,
you're in a great place now. So, what I would like to draw your attention to is that a slice of the wedding cake from Charles's wedding to Lady Di has sold at auction for nearly 2 G's.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe it's 1,850.
God.
Yeah, it's a 40-year-old cake.
Yeah.
Now, you know I love a bargain. Yeah. You can buy fresh cake for like £1, £2.
Ow. 40-year-old eggs. I don't eat week-old eggs.
There is something tragic about the cake lasted 19 years longer than the marriage as well.
Yeah.
Doomed.
Well, it was originally given to a member of the Queen Mother's household, I believe. She preserved it with cling film. Of course she did. She was a nana.
Yeah.
And it was one of 23 cakes. Discuss.
Well, I'll tell you what my first thought. 23 cakes, yeah. How much did they pay? £2
Jules
for
Reme's
this
still
slice?
gleaming.
I'll tell you what it's got. It's got a bit of a... you know when you see like Chewbacca's bandolier for sale and you realise that they made like 117 bandoliers for Chewbacca, many of which was just in a wardrobe and never worn. It's got that feeling. Charles and Diana might not have been within 150 yards of that cake. That's what I would say.
But 23 wedding cake. Who was coming to their wedding? The world's strongest men.
Well, were they all at the wedding though?
What? 23?
The cakes? Or were,
yes.
Yeah, they all made it to the actual reception.
Anyone at that wedding, text in 8 12 15.
I suppose
the cakes all made it.
If you're slicing the cake with a ceremonial sword, you could do like 3 or 4 at a time to save time. But I would be to whoever has bought this. I can't help thinking they've just bought a slice of cake.
I'll tell you who's bought it.
Yeah. Go on.
Jerry in Leeds. Jerry Ayton, I believe his name is, and he's a luxury boat charterer. And I do like the sound of Jerry.
Yeah, I wonder what the business is like in
I
Leeds for
I hear
luxury
that
boat
Leeds has changed.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think
Luxury
Jerry...
boat.
He doesn't... I think he wears a sort of Bermuda shorts and a captain's hat. I don't think he's the type to bid online.
Are you thinking of L. Ron Hubbard?
I think he picks up the phone and says, "Hello, Torquay 2478." He bid over the phone.
From Leeds, though. That seems wrong to me. He didn't get it on the Yorkshire version of eBay. eBay Gum.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We're talking about
title.
Mrs. Smith and her 40-year-old slice of wedding cake. Now, I believe her cake was bought by a collector sometime in around the 2008 mark. She had, this is prior to Jerry, she kept her slice
Yeah,
in an, I didn't like the way you said yeah,
yeah.
in an old floral cake tin.
Okay, well, it's a cake tin. Fair
And
enough.
Appropriate.
She taped a handmade label to the lid, reading "Handle with care." Prince Charles and Princess Diane's wedding cake.
Diane.
Yeah, she said Diane. She
Yeah.
went Diane.
See, if she'd have stopped with the old lady Di, there wouldn't have been that problem.
The faux pas.
I can't understand why it hasn't disintegrated into a bubbling horror show. You know, recently, Kath made she iced Buzz's birthday cake with an Alice Cooper face.
Oh, how did
That
that?
was great. That looked really good.
It did look really good, but Buzz wouldn't let us cut the face. We had to take the icing off, the icing off to cut the cake, and then he wouldn't throw the icing away. So we've kept it, and now, you know, there's a slight living dead chic that Alice Cooper always aspired to. He's really got it now, like a bobbling, posture-covered green face.
It's very much what he would have wanted.
Exactly. And so, I don't know how this is kept. Although, having said that, in my fridge, I still have a marzipan corgi from the Queen's 82nd birthday cake. And that's held up very well.
Did you wrap
don't-
that in
If I do
cling
say
film and
so.
put it in a tin, though? Is that the difference?
No, I held it over water and its little legs moved. It's a supernatural moment for me. Yeah, so I tell you what I did. I went to see the Rolling Stones at Birmingham Odeon in the early 70s. Goat's Head Soup Tour, if you're an aficionado. And at one point, Mick Jagger, I was in the mosh pit at the front, and Mick Jagger scattered rose petals over us all. And I kept some of those rose petals, and I had a wallet, my first ever wallet. I remember it was one of those where I kept the wallet photo of a woman, I don't know who it was, and she was one of the photos in it. But there was a small pocket for change, and I put the rose petals in there because Mick Jagger had touched them. And they rotted most horribly and went mouldy and disgusting.
I had the same thing with I got hold of some of the rose petals that Madonna had a bath in. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, did you now?
Oh.
Yeah, I got them on eBay. £1,850 they were.
Bargain.
And
What
looking
sort of
back on it, I wish I'd got wedding cake from Lady Di and
What?
Prince Charles's wedding. But that's the problem with being a collector, innit? There's so much to get.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I think with these rose petals, though, there was an element of the rose petals of Dorian Gray, in that Mick Jagger continues to be the snake-hipped, sexy frontman of the Stones as the petals dissolved into pulp. So maybe I rescued the great singer. This is what they'd say in the Daily Mail, maybe I rescued the jumping Jack Flash singer from
you,
getting
TV
too
funny
old.
man Frank Skinner.
Exactly. Madcap broadcaster Chris Evans.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I've really gone off hot chocolate.
Oh,
I used to like it, but I think I was in a seaside cafe once and I ordered one and it came with a lot of squirty cream and marshmallows and stuff, and it was like afterwards I felt like I'd had dysentery for 2 weeks.
You felt you'd cheddar gorged a bit.
I'd cheddared big time.
I ate something recently. I can't remember what it was, but a confectionery item, and I said, God, that's too sweet. And my son said, only adults ever say that.
Isn't it a French term as well, too sweet?
Too sweet.
What does that mean?
Quickly, or what does it mean? All at once or something?
Oh, so it fits with the sugar rush idea.
We've been discussing the wedding cake. This is a message that you're about to tell us about, I'm sure, Emily D.
Well, Al, I was going to say Ultra Mudness, who's had quite a lot of real estate so far this morning.
Yeah, he's basically been... we might have to send him a salary.
Let's not.
But not without good reason, because he's pointed out most wedding cakes. This is the 40-year-old Charles and Lady Di slice of wedding cake from Mrs. Smith. Most wedding cakes are made with fruit soaked in booze. They're better preserved than Damien Hirst's sharks.
Okay.
Do you see?
It is ironic that it be wedding cakes that be one of the longest lasting cakes whilst tied to one of the flimsiest of conventions.
Indeed. I don't like to cast aspersions on this boat charterer from Leeds. I don't like to do that.
No.
But this purchase does have a whiff of somebody who's in his cups online, perhaps, you know.
Oh,
like
do you
he
think?
said to his wife, I'll just finish this glass of wine and I'm just going to be up in a bit. And then he's gone online looking for like carrot cake recipes. And 2 hours later, he's buying wedding cake for nearly £2,000. That's
Do you know Al? He's got bevied up. You're right.
But there are people out there, and I think I can safely talk about them because none of them will be listening to this. I used to have neighbours who... their living room was an absolute shrine to the royal family. It was all sorts of, not just like plates, ceremonial plates, but framed photos of the Queen and stuff like that. And they had like cushions with the crown on and all that. It was they're out there, so you could be one of those guys.
That's an uncanny description of the room that I'm broadcasting from in Manchester. Uncanny.
Well, the Royal Armoury, of course, I believe, is in Leeds, so that might be why he moved there.
Maybe.
What sort of a person is Mrs. Smith, formerly of the Queen Mother's household in Clarence House, who hangs on to the cake for, up until the point at which she sold it, was a 30-year period?
Slim person.
Yeah. I bought a packet of Jaffa cakes the other day. I didn't even make it home before eating 5.
I wonder if the Queen did that old psychological test and said, I'm going to give you one slice of this, and then I'm going to come back, and if you haven't eaten it, I'll give you 2 slices. And she waited. The Queen forgot. Queen had all the stuff on her hands, and this woman has just sat looking at this slice, thinking, when is Her Majesty coming back? I'm starving. That's my theory.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I kept the tip of a cigarette that was not smoked by Mark E. Smith from the Fall, but given to me by Mark E. Smith. So it's a slightly strange thing because I smoked it, but Mark E. Smith gave it to me. I should say he had me strapped in a laboratory chair in a harness, and he was doing experimentations about tobacco.
Stop it.
No, he didn't.
That's a lovely memento to pass on to Buzz, the old cigarette
It
butt.
is, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I should have kept one of Mark E. Smith's cigarette boxes looking back.
You've bought some memorabilia over the years, but you don't tend to get bevied up these days.
No.
You don't ever get bevied up. So... Do you get a rush when you've bought, say, a ukulele or a prayer book?
Well, I bought... I don't know. I was sent a hair from Elvis's horse.
No.
And, yeah. What?
I just said nay.
Oh, sorry. I missed that. And... I've still got that, and that's kept remarkably well because it's organic. You would think, but hair is a good keeper. I saw a lock of Napoleon's hair that was in good shape.
The only things I've got, as you both well know, are the letter from Arthur Miller and the earrings worn by Linda Blair, the child in The Exorcist.
Oh, excellent.
That's good.
What would have been if you're going to collect Napoleon's hair, what you want on a white card is that sort of flattened down fringe. Just that. You could just collect those. You could have Oliver Hardy, Napoleon. Oh, yes, so let me show you my flattened down fringe collection.
Oh, that's a strange question mark motif.
What are they called, those little curls?
Like a curlicue.
Kiss curls.
Oh, is it a... Oh, very good.
That's it, yeah.
Frank, I've thought of another one.
I'll tell you what would be
Hang
a good one, Lisa Stansfield.
Oh, yes.
If you kept that. My fringe
Excuse me?
collection.
Excuse me, what?
You could have a fringe festival.
Oh, play a jingle. It's good enough. It's good enough. Find a jingle for that. I like that enough. It's good, Frank.
Okay, I'm going to play a jingle.
It's great.
For that. I'm going to pick one completely at random.
Come on.
Around her neck, she wore a yellow ribbon.
Everybody.
She wore it in the springtime and in the month of May.
Oh, yeah. Frank, Hercule Poirot,
Yes.
does he not have a kiss curl?
I think he might have certainly flattened down a fringe. I can't quite picture. I can't get past the moustache.
Okay.
Did I tell you a woman I used to work with who did my makeup also did his makeup on Poirot, David Suchet's.
Oh, yeah.
And she used to, she was the keeper of the moustache, so she used to turn up with the moustache in her car. And it was like pride of place thing. And when the programme ended, he bought her like a 4-foot version of the moustache to keep on her wall, like bull horns.
Oh, did he?
If I once saw Jerry Lee Lewis arrive at a theatre in a Cadillac with bull horns on the front of it. And if I was David Suchet, I would have driven a car with an enormous moustache, one of those waxed moustaches. If I was Napoleon, obviously I'd have been a little ahead of my time, but I'd have had the fringe coming off the edge of the bonnet, flattened down to the grill. These are the things I would have done if I'd been those people.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Can share with you some examples of things people have missed?
Oh yes, I was talking to my tour manager about him missing an entire Ricky Ponting's Ricky Ponting one ball innings. I should explain, if you don't know about cricket, Ricky Ponting was a brilliant batsman, but he was also the captain of Australia, so the joy of watching him go out first ball would have been really delightful. To miss that is a gut puncher.
Anthony Moss. I was in a lift going up to my friend's flat on my own. I got in 1999. I got out in 2000. I was on my way back from getting some cigarettes and I heard a cheer before I realised.
Oh, wow. You know, I saw in the Millennium on stage with my arm around Eric Clapton. And we were singing Auld Lang Syne and he was playing it on electric guitar.
Pretty cool.
He liked an electric guitar, Eric Clapton.
Linda Denigan, an elderly friend I knew, went to Buckingham Palace with her son when he went to get his OBE. She nodded off during the ceremony after accidentally taking a sleeping tablet instead of a water tablet.
Oh, wow.
Oh dear!
Wow!
I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but I slept through my first ever takeoff in an aeroplane. Because as I think I've told you, my first ever flight was to Australia.
In at the deep end.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it was like Jakarta and then changing to Australia.
No, she went of her own accord.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but I'd got the night bus, the National Express, overnight from Leeds or Dewsbury or somewhere. And by the time I got on the aeroplane, excited about takeoff, I said to the person next to me, "Oh, this is my first ever flight," and then promptly fell asleep and woke up in the air.
That's brilliant, though.
Total miss.
I always think one of those long-haul flights, if you sleep, it's a lovely treat.
Oh, it's so nice. That is.
If someone else is paying, if I'm paying, I will use matchsticks to stay awake for the whole flight, so I get every possible thing.
You want to get all the
film.
freebies
I want the film, I want the peanuts. I want it all, I want it all.
Well, that's why it's considered you're meant to just order a water, aren't you? Because you have to look comfortable with all these things, and I can't, I'm afraid.
Did I tell you when I flew?
It's a treat for me.
I flew to Belfast, and I was with Kath, and Kath's a nervous flyer, and this woman started saying, "Oh, Frank Skinner, how are you?" She was sitting next to us. And I could tell Kath was getting more and more tense as this woman talked more and more and faster. And I had to say, "Look, do you want to be that woman who people afterwards say, 'Oh, God, there was this woman on the plane who wouldn't'?" And it was awful, but I had to take her down, or I think Kath might have had a breakdown. It's my excuse.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
I'd like to return to the subject of weddings briefly. We were doing Charles and Diana's cake, weren't we? There's a story that's gone viral this week, as they say, online. And it's a man who did a best man speech at a wedding, didn't think of a joke about the bridesmaids, and then on the day kind of semi-improvised that one of them was not as pretty as the others and said something along the lines of, "You all know which one." And it backfired so badly that the bride and groom asked him to leave because it turned out that apparently one of the bridesmaids was a little plain and self-conscious maybe and burst into tears.
It could be that they all felt they were the one. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I think he should have been allowed to stay, because it's a joke, isn't it? Surely.
Well, no, but it's different. I'll tell you something about speeches at weddings. In my experience, I, of course, am very quick to perpetuate the myth that stand-up comedy is the most difficult job in the world, and there's only a handful of humans on the planet who could do it. But I have seen in the last 10 years some brilliant wedding speeches that have been really funny and well planned out, and they've had visual aids and all sorts. And I'm starting to think stand-up comedy might be like when I was a kid. We were told that people who ran the marathon in the Olympics were superhumans. The fact that anyone could run 26 miles. And now you watch the marathon on the telly and there's like an 83-year-old woman dressed as Barney the dinosaur running it. We were lied as vile lies in the past about the marathon. Maybe stand-up comedy. I'm generally impressed by speeches I hear at weddings.
I am too, but it's one speech. Okay? Let's hear your material out of the spotlight.
Yeah, but I do know comedians who've done the same 20 minutes for about 15 years.
Here.
Okay.
I said, I'm here.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot you were here. Oh, God, it's awkward. Now, Ali's not one of them, can I?
No, I'm not.
Can I say?
I mean, what? So this character...
What about when I went to I was a best man at a wedding and the bride's dad got up. This was years ago back home in the West Midlands. And the bride's dad said, look at all these lovely presents here today. He said, well, my mum and dad said when they got married, they only got 2 presents total. A night dress for my mum and a copy of the Holy Bible. And he said, my dad always said if he'd lifted that Bible as often as he'd lifted that night dress, he'd be the Archbishop of Canterbury. I always thought that was it's a great opener, isn't it? And I think any joke when the punchline is the Archbishop of Canterbury just feels really rich to me.
And also with reference to a night dress. I mean, what was this wedding, 1864?
Well, it was a long time ago, I must say, but fine, very fine.
I appreciate we're running out of time. I would just like to leave you to ponder this. Can we have the exact quote, just to leave everyone to ponder what this gentleman said? He said, bridesmaids, I'm a bit short of time here, and I don't really know you all, so I'd just like to say that 5 out of 6 of you look stunning today. Figure it out amongst yourselves.
Yes. Now, I think that's an all right joke if you've had a look at the bridesmaids and made sure that no one's going to get hurt by that.
They've all got to be a 9 out of 10. Really,
I mean, if I did that on stage, I think I'd have to take the rap. I think he made a major error and lapsed into the cruel. He was slightly cruel, and people will not forgive.
See what he looks like.
People don't forgive cruel in the modern world. I'm afraid he had to go. Is my.
He got to go.
He had to go.
Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Can we get back to the wedding, Frank? Okay?
Yes, let's get back to the wedding.
With the awkward speech,
BM.
which Ian Angle has texted saying that is the worst man's speech. Which is a play on Best Man, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You got it.
I went to a wedding where a former DJ from this very station had been the best man. I don't know if I should name. It was Jeff Lloyd. And I said to someone, I said, how did the best man speech go? And they said, well, let me just put it this way. It involved a sink plunger. And I still don't know whether that meant that was a good review or a bad one. And I was, I think
Lloyd knows what he's doing.
It's just, I hope it was a Dalek joke though, because once you get past there, you go into some dark places with sink plunger props.
If anyone made any sort of Dalek reference at any nuptials involving me, I would defriend instantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be asked to leave like this character in the news story.
Did I tell you about when I was asked to leave a party? When I was...
Which one?
This is one I'm prepared to talk about. I was about 17 and we were at this party at this woman's house who we knew, and she was playing records. Yes, records. And so there was this Elvis... it was called something like the Elvis album, and it was in the days like with Top of the Pops albums where it's not the original artist, it's someone like doing a bit of an impression, and it was
like
cheaper. So she said to me, and she said, "Oh, you love Elvis, don't you, as well?" And I said, "I do." I said, "Obviously this is an Elvis." She said, "What?" I said, "Well, this actually is an Elvis." And she said, "Mark, can you switch that off?" So this guy switched it off. She said, I think you better go.
Wow.
I said, what? She said, just get out. I said, all I said was it. She said, just get out. And we were talking, I was talking about this with an old schoolmate years later. And he said, I think I'd forgot. He said, the great thing was, he said, as you left, you said, yeah, well, making me go won't make it Elvis.
Can I just call that Peak Skinner?
But it wasn't Elvis. It was someone doing the thing. I mean, my goodness.
We believe you, Frank.
I know, but fancy taking it that badly.
She didn't.
Still, she's one of my contemporaries, so I won't slag her off. She's probably no longer with us.
Okay.
Anyway.
What a lovely note to end things on.
I think so. Okay, so thanks for listening today, as ever. And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.